Family Guy has made a career out of crossing lines. For them, no target is off limits, and no joke is too far. But some episodes completely blew the line to pieces, like the Boston Marathon bombing controversy, where Family Guy somehow got caught right in the middle of it all. People swore the show predicted it.
This here with Boston Marathon winner Peter Griffin. Peter, how did you do it?
And so, after digging into all these controversy the show has been caught up with since the first day it aired, these are the wildest moments in Family Guy that went so overboard it triggered massive backlash. Starting with the episode Business Guy. In this episode, Carter Peter-assment suffers a heart attack and slips into a coma. While he's out, his will dictates that Lois should run the company. Lois, being unsure she could handle the pressure, gets help from her ever-loving, kind, and oh so supportive husband, Peter, who immediately decides he should be the one to take over the business. Such a wonderful man. You hear the sarcasm, right? Just making sure. So Peter takes control of Carter Peter-assment Industries and, well, runs it straight into the ground.
Business talk on me. I need ideas. What can we do to make this quarter more quarterly?
Carter eventually has to wake up and fight to reclaim his company from Peter's disastrous management. But the real issue with this episode, and what got the PTC riled up, was the reason Carter ended up in a coma to begin with. It was his birthday, and Peter and the guys decided to take him to a strip club. To make sure Carter had a good time, they arranged for an exotic dancer to give him a lap dance.
And you, give this old bastard the ride of his life. Yeah!
Go Carter!
Poor Carter couldn't handle the excitement, and right there, he had a heart attack. The Parents Television Council wasted no time. Just 2 days after the episode aired, they filed an indecency complaint. The scene with the lap dance, they argued, might have violated federal law regarding broadcast decency. But Family Guy and decency don't go together in the same sentence. They just go straight for whoever they want and manage to get away with it. Just like what went down in this next episode, which caused massive backlash from a political figure. Extra large medium. This episode from season 8 starts off harmless. Chris has a crush. Stewie acts as his wingman, and the two gear up for Chris's big date. This sounds sweet, right? Except that the girl, Ellen, turns out to have Down syndrome. Still, this should be fine because the date actually happens, and Chris is actually composed and a respectable gentleman.
Get up and pull my chair out for me.
Oh, goodness, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
That's better.
But as the day goes on, it turns out Ellen was not the dream girl Chris hoped for. She spent the night bossing him around, demanding massages, making him run errands, and basically draining the poor guy's enthusiasm until he admits he doesn't see her as special anymore. And still, it was just typical Family Guy humor. But then comes the line that turned everything upside down on the internet. Ellen casually mentions her parents.
So what do your parents do?
That's better. My dad's an accountant, and my mom is the former governor of Alaska.
Oh, that's cool.
That should be cool, Chris. Except there was a real-life former governor of Alaska, Sarah Palin, and she too has a kid with Down syndrome, so that was a direct shot at her. That one sentence from Ellen in the episode exploded into real-world backlash. Palin blasted Family Guy as cruel and heartless, and she had so many others backing her up. But Seth MacFarlane didn't back down though, and neither did Andrea Faye Friedman, the actress who voiced Ellen, who also had Down syndrome. Friedman even doubled down, saying she felt Palin used her son as a political prop, and that the joke was fair game. A lot of people still don't agree on whether it was fair or not. Another moment that triggered this kind of outrage because of a joke made about someone's medical condition was in the episode The Cleveland Loretta Quagmire. The main plot is about Cleveland seeking revenge against Quagmire after finding out he slept with his wife Loretta. But before Cleveland even reached the breaking point of wanting to tear Quagmire apart, he was surprisingly calm when Peter first broke the news to him. Now, the cheating scandal itself wasn't the big issue that had people offended. What actually caused the outrage was a cutaway gag tucked into the episode. In it, Peter brags about how good he is at delivering bad news. To prove his point, the gag cuts to him and a barbershop quartet standing around the hospital bed of a man with end-stage AIDS, literally singing the news to him in harmony.
You have AIDS.
Yes, you have AIDS.
I hate to tell you, boy, that you have AIDS.
The moment that scene aired, it got immediate attention, and not the good kind. Viewers were furious, and the gag quickly drew backlash outside of just the fan base. Several AIDS service organizations publicly condemned the show, protesting the insensitivity of the cutaway gag. But then, this was just Family Guy proving once again that no topic was too off limits, even if it left plenty of people disgusted. And speaking of nothing being off limits, Family Guy went overboard with this next one, Peter-assment. For this episode, Family Guy did the most unhinged thing ever. The episode starts innocently enough. Stewie's preschool class is putting on a play, but you'd expect a little song about farm animals or maybe some off-key Lion King number, but when the curtain opens, you immediately wish it would slam shut again. Nope, it wasn't a bad performance. In fact, it was a well-rendered musical if we're judging skills, but that's where it takes a dark turn because these toddlers in cardboard costumes aren't singing about fairy tales, they're performing a cheesy musical about Terry Schiavo.
Hi, Doctor. It's me, Michael Schiavo. How's my wife doing?
She's a vegetable.
I hate vegetables.
The Terry Schiavo situation was a huge thing, no doubt. The woman at the center of one of the most heartbreaking right-to-die cases in American history. But the lyrics of the Preschooler musical didn't care about anybody's feelings. Not Terry's, and certainly not her family's.
Terry Schiavo is kind of alive, oh. What a lively little bugger.
Maybe we should just unplug her.
The outrage that hid the show concerning the episode was fast. Disability advocates, religious groups, and Schiavo's own family were furious. Her brother, Bobby Schindler Jr., blasted the episode and even demanded that Fox cancel Family Guy entirely. Well, Fox didn't. Seth MacFarlane stood by the bit, as usual, defending his team's dark humor. Whether you call it bold or just plain cruel, this episode showed that Family Guy had no problem going places most shows wouldn't even think about. But then, no other episode managed to leave audiences and critics simultaneously upset, outraged, and disappointed quite like this next one did. The story of Brenda Q. So, in the episode Quagmire's Sister, things start with Glenn in the hospital after yet another ridiculous sex injury. His sister Brenda shows up to check on him, but she's not alone. She brings her boyfriend, Jeff, who wastes no time showing his true colors.
Oh God, I hope Glenn's okay. I'm so worried about him.
Shut up and limp! We're in a handicap spot, you slut!
This is how everyone immediately realized this guy is bad news from the first scene. But it was way worse than that. From there, Jeff becomes the dark cloud hanging over the entire episode. He argues loudly with Brenda at night, screams at her over money, and goes ahead to physically abuse her. It was unbearable not just for Quagmire, but also for the audience watching the episode. Things take an even uglier turn when Brenda shows up with a black eye, but refuses to leave Jeff or even report it. Despite Quagmire pouring his heart out to Brenda for her to leave Jeff, she then goes ahead and announces that she and Jeff are engaged.
No, not yet. Everyone, I have wonderful news. Jeff and I are getting married. I'd show you the ring, but it's under the splint.
This is when Quagmire decides to take action. Along with help from Peter and Joe, they lure Jeff to the woods to waste him there, but Jeff gets the jump on them and overpowers them all. I mean, it was just messy and bloody. Luckily, Quagmire managed to get himself up and murder Jeff by running him straight into a tree with his car. By the time the episode finally ended, viewers were outraged. Now, people weren't angry that Quagmire killed Jeff. I mean, the guy was awful and deserved the fate he got. What people were totally against, though, was how Family Guy treated the whole storyline. It was just a disturbing show of abuse, with Brenda's trauma played off far too lightly and then wrapped up in murder. The episode was called one of Family Guy's darkest mistakes, and even diehard viewers agree the episode wasn't funny at all and probably shouldn't have aired. However, this isn't the only time Family Guy would get backlash for how it handled sensitive matters. The Simpsons Guy, Stewie prank call. When the episode aired, it was one of the most hyped crossovers fans had dreamed of for years. But 10 minutes in, Family Guy went in with its trademark offensiveness. This happened when Bart and Stewie met and teamed up. Now, pairing those together made sense. Bart's the prankster of Springfield and Stewie's the evil genius of Quahog, and so, while having a go at what mischief they could both pull off, they make prank calls to Moe's Tavern. Bart shows Stewie the ropes, and everything seems fun.
Mo speaking.
Yeah, I'm looking for a friend, last name Keybum, first name Lee.
Yeah, hang on, I'll check. Hey, guys, do I got a leaky bum?
Well, it was fun until Stewie tried one for himself.
Mo's Tavern?
Hello, Mo. Your sister's being raped. Is that one?
That shocked and awkward stare from Bart is everything though. But this is Stewie and probably not the most outrageous thing to have ever come out of his mouth. But it didn't matter. Viewers were stunned and critics tore into it. The Parents Television Council immediately demanded that Fox pull the episode or at least remove the line. Fox didn't. What was surprising was that a spokesperson for RAIN, a nonprofit that supports survivors of sexual assault, said the joke didn't bother her because the show clearly framed it as wrong. Stewie's call wasn't funny. It was disturbing, and the audience was meant to recognize that. In other words, the joke wasn't endorsing the line, but condemning it by showing how out of bounds it was. Still, for many fans, even that nuance didn't make it all right for them. The rest of the episode was a thrill and totally enjoyable, but that one scene of the prank call had left a bad taste in the mouth. But this is Family Guy, and there's more controversy waiting to be outraged about. In fact, that wasn't the only time Family Guy had done something outrageously insensitive with The Simpsons. This next one went so far that Fox had to step in to set things in order. This all went down in the episode Moving Out Brian. Now, it wasn't the episode itself that sparked so much serious outrage. It wasn't even a cutaway, but a simple clip that was included somewhere in one scene of the episode. That one scene was so controversial that Fox executives flat out ordered Seth MacFarlane to cut it. What happened was that right before the first commercial break, Brian is venting to Lois and Peter. Then at the bottom of the screen, a fake Simpsons promo runs at the bottom of the screen, only to be hijacked by Quagmire. And what follows is every shade of wrong. Quagmire seduces Marge Simpson in a way that does not read as consensual.
She's devoted a lot of time and energy to this relationship with some expectation that it could grow into something.
What you're seeing is exactly it. There's no sugarcoating.
And her along, well then I gotta say, I've lost a lot of respect for you, Brian.
But as wrong as that was, Quagmire somehow convinces her to take him home for round 2. But once inside the Simpson house, it turns into a full-blown nightmare as Homer walks in on them.
You're amazing, Glenn!
Oh, I just take a lot of pride in what I do.
Hey, what's going on here? Ah! Get off my wife!
Oh my god! Oh my god!
The gunshot, of course, draws Bart and Lisa's attention, and they rush to the room only to meet the same fate.
You're dead. Oh no! Who will pay for my saxophone lessons?
Yeah, he gunned down the entire family. Well, the sequence ends with Maggie surviving long enough to grab the gun and finish Quagmire herself. Whether this was meant as some kind of revenge for the Simpsons sticking jabs at Family Guy over the years, the violence was just so extreme that Fox pulled the plug. McFarlane wasn't happy about the censorship, accusing the network of favoritism toward the Simpsons. Eventually, Fox executives stepped in and told both shows to cut it out entirely. But while this one was bonkers, the other episodes had the PTC ready to yank Family Guy off people's television screens. This was the season 3 episode, and the Wiener Is. From PTC's point of view, you'll kind of get why. But it seems they forget that Family Guy is an adult animation for a reason. The whole episode basically revolved around Peter developing the sudden, deep insecurity. And the reason for that insecurity? Well, Peter accidentally caught a glimpse of what Chris was packing, and it immediately made him feel like less of a man. Yeah, sounds weird even putting that sentence together.
Hey, Chris, what's with your leg? Oh my God, that's not your leg!
So, what does Peter do? He spirals. He tries every possible way to boost his masculinity. At one point, he grabs some guns, hoping the firepower will somehow patch up his ego. Then, in classic Peter fashion, he takes it even further and decides the ultimate bonding move is to drag Chris out on a hunting trip. That way, father and son can connect, and Peter can maybe feel like the alpha again. But the episode didn't just slide by unnoticed. It caught the eyes of the Parents' Television Council, and they were not amused. They filed a formal complaint declaring that Family Guy had gone completely overboard this time. The FCC, however, wasn't buying it. In their official response, they made it clear. Since the episode never explicitly revealed any body parts or gave a graphic description of genitals, it didn't violate broadcast standards. So once again, Family Guy walked away untouched, which, if you think about it, is ironic since the whole problem started with Peter being too touched by what he saw. But the PTC wasn't finished throwing darts at Family Guy. After missing it with And the Wiener Is, they turned their sights on season 4's PTV. This was the episode where Peter launched his very own station because he was tired of censorship from the FCC. See, this episode came out not long ago after the infamous Janet Jackson Super Bowl wardrobe malfunction, or as the internet lovingly named it, Nipplegate. The FCC went on a censoring spree after that, and Seth MacFarlane and his crew clearly weren't happy about that. So they wrote an episode where the FCC shows up in Quahog and censors literally everything till Peter decides he's had enough and creates PTV right out of his house.
Hi there, I'm Peter Griffin, and you're watching PTV, where you get to watch your favorite shows as nature intended them, with all the sex, violence, swearing, and farts intact.
To his surprise, it's a hit. Brian and Stewie even get in on the fun, making their own shows. But Lois, worried about the kids, calls the FCC. And of course, the best part is Peter, Brian, and Stewie's song trashing the FCC.
Take a tip, take a lesson. You'll never win by messing with the fellas at the freaking FCC.
The FCC actually laughed at it. The PTC, though, they weren't laughing at all. They rallied their members, huffed and puffed, but never even filed a real complaint. So basically, the FCC had a sense of humor, the PTC just had a meltdown. Now, here's an interesting fun fact. The PTC has labeled Family Guy the worst show of the week on at least 40 occasions and has filed 5 complaints against the show. And honestly, sometimes Family Guy makes it way too easy for them to hand out those labels, but some of the stuff it airs is just diabolical. Like this next episode that got massive backlash from every direction, Family Gay. The episode has Peter on his way to buy groceries, but as usual, he changes his mind and instead buys a brain-damaged horse. And that's not the only creepy part. Peter enters the horse into a race, and it goes on a rampage that causes $100,000 worth of damage, money the Griffins don't have. I guess this is the right moment to dust off that old saying, if wishes were horses, beggars would ride. Except here, the horse weren't granting wishes, it was racking up debt, wrecking property, and then dropping dead. Not exactly like the fairy tale ending. This is where the show goes completely off the rails. To make money, Peter decides to work as a medical test subject, getting injected with various genes just to see what happens. And that's how he winds up with a gay gene, turning him gay.
I'm here, I'm queer, but don't get used to it because I'm leaving you.
What?
I'm sorry, Lois. I can't deny who I am any longer. I am Peter Griffin, homosexual. and that's how I'm gonna live my life.
This storyline had people furious. The PTC wasted no time filing a complaint, slamming both the gay gene plot and the situations tied to it. And one of those situations was seriously disturbing. Earlier in the episode, when Peter bought the horse, he replaced all the milk in the fridge with horse semen. And of course, Stewie was having a cereal. Put two and two together. Yeah, exactly.
Everyone, some of the milk in the fridge is not milk, it's horse sperm. I'm a horse breeder now.
Because of that scene, that single episode of Family Guy caused 188,368 FCC complaints. The outrage was that bad. If Stewie eating cereal with horse jizz was bad, well, Stewie managed to trigger another wave of outrage and backlash against Family Guy in a different episode. And of course, the PTC filed a complaint for that one too. This time, it was the episode Brian and Stewie. In the story, the two head to a bank, but end up locked inside the vault. Worst part, it's a weekend, which means no chance of getting out until Monday morning. So, what do? They use the time to drive each other insane in the most over-the-top ways possible. I mean, being locked in a bank vault with no escape can push anyone toward madness. And naturally, Brian and Stewie are experts at getting under each other's skin. But the episode isn't all chaos. Toward the end, the tone shifts. Brian opens up about his struggles with depression, and Stewie admits that despite all his sarcasm, Brian is his only real friend. It's surprisingly heartfelt, almost wholesome. Aw, cute. But what exactly made the PTC lose their minds and file another complaint? According to them, it was because of the infamous coprophagia scene. Yeah, big word. Basically, earlier in the episode, things went off the rails when Stewie crapped his pants. With no diaper to spare, he convinced Brian to help him clean up. And by clean him up, I mean Brian had to deal with Stewie's diaper and, well, wipe him down.
So what I would need you to do is eat what's in my diaper, lick the diaper clean, and then put the diaper back on me. There is no way any of that is happening.
Well, it totally happened, and it was totally disgusting. No wonder the scene sparked outrage. So even though the episode tried to deliver some emotional depth, the PTC and plenty of viewers couldn't get past that one moment. And honestly, who can blame them? But the list of Family Guy moments and episodes that triggered backlash still goes on. Next is the episode, A Fistful of Meg. In this story, Meg accidentally spills a drop of food on a school bully. That tiny mistake ends up becoming her death sentence, because the bully set up a date just to beat her up. Now, we all know Meg isn't the most popular kid in school, but she could have gone to the principal, reported it to a teacher, or at least told her parents. But no, she decides to deal with it in her own way, and that means trying everything possible to get out of the fight. One of her ideas? Getting herself expelled by releasing a sex tape. And right there, you already know the FCC was going to have their pens ready to start writing complaints. Of course, the tape doesn't exactly go viral. The only person who ends up watching it is Stewie, which again makes it crystal clear why the FCC didn't hesitate to put this episode under review. But the controversy doesn't stop with just that plot point. As the episode goes on, Quagmire steps in to help Meg by teaching her how to fight back against the bully. His tactic? Something about channeling her grossness to defeat her bully, and yes, it's exactly as disgusting as it sounds.
Stronger than you, but you're grosser, and you're gonna use that. Your weird body can be a dangerous weapon if used properly.
Okay.
But first, Meg is beaten to a pulp before she then gets the chance to use the grossing technique and win. This didn't sit well with a lot of people. According to reports, the FCC's official complaint was that it had issues with the main plot, saying that a storyline about a boy bullying and beating up a girl crossed the line and violated indecency guidelines. Also, it was totally against the episode's heavy focus on vulgar jokes involving child molestation and sexual exploitation and the sexualized use of food. That last bit came from Meg commenting on how she developed a food disorder and died from it.
But I wasn't around for a long time. A year later, my body reacted to a frozen hot dog, and I died of septic shock. I became the public face of internal hot dog defrosting.
But while this was more disgustingly sad than terrible, the PTC also had another complaint to make regarding yet another episode that again involved grape. This was the episode of Quagmire's Mom. Quagmire attended a party where he meets a girl named Kira. As usual, they go back to his place and get giggity. But the next day, Quagmire learns that Kira is not 23 years old, as she stated, and so the cops showed up and Quagmire got arrested.
Quagmire, I'm afraid you're under arrest for statutory rape.
All right, but let me just send the pictures I took of her last night to all my friends.
Throughout the episode, Quagmire goes through court trials to defend himself. His mother, Crystal, shows up, and this is where Quagmire talks about his upbringing with his mom, who was promiscuous and how it contributed to him being a sexual deviant. Crystal admits her past, but claims to be a born-again Christian, asking for leniency. The judge rejects her plea and gives Quagmire 24 hours to get his affairs in order.
I know this is a hard time for you, but you need to seek forgiveness. You need to kneel before Jesus.
Oh, he's gonna be kneeling in front of a lot of guys, but I doubt he'll catch their names.
These were the jokes the show kept going going on with while handling a sensitive subject matter. Now, the very next day when Quagmire is about to be taken to prison, the judge suddenly shows up and sets him free, claiming new DNA evidence had appeared.
Evidence was produced.
And an impressive amount, I'd say.
Guy takes care of himself.
Anyway, you're free to go.
You're kidding! Mom, did you?
Yep, twice.
Wrapping an episode like this in such a way sparked massive outrage. Many felt it was far too insensitive. The PTC filed an indecency complaint citing not only the storyline, but also the sexually explicit jokes scattered throughout the episode. But one thing you can always count on with Family Guy is that it never pulls its punches, even when it comes to stereotypes. And one group that got offended in a big way was the transgender community. This came from the episode that involved another of Quagmire's parents, Quagmire's dad. The episode focused on Quagmire's father deciding to undergo gender reassignment surgery and transition into Ida. Quagmire was totally against the decision at first, but as the episode moved along, Quagmire eventually came around and accepted his dad's choice. But while this was heartwarming, the episode included a storyline where Ida checked into the Marriott Hotel. Brian, returning from a conference, met her there. Neither of them knew who the other was, and the two ended up hooking up. Later, when Brian went home and discovered what had truly gone down, his reaction was just all over the place. Literally. On top of that, the episode kept rolling out trans jokes, especially from Peter, who didn't hold back a single punchline.
Yeah, gay. It's totally different.
Sounds the same.
Well, it's not.
Okay, so he wants to be a woman so he can be a lesbian?
No, he'd date men.
Gay.
Yeah, gay.
Okay, this is not the help I came over here for.
These jokes were what set off protests and outrage from the transgender community, who felt the episode was throwing out insults more than it was making jokes. The Gay and Lesbian Allegiance Against Defamation, an LGBT media watchdog organization, even went ahead and released a statement about the episode, noting that GLAAD shares the serious concerns being voiced from members of the community, and GLAAD's entertainment media team is addressing these with Fox. Family Guy did eventually go easy on the queer jokes and totally phased out the gay jokes, but it doesn't mean they didn't get into other controversies and stirred backlash with other groups. Like when the show got attacked heavily for allegedly promoting anti-Semitism in the episode When You Wish Upon a Weinstein. This episode was all about Peter realizing he had serious financial problems. Right after he blew Lois's rainy day fund on volcano insurance from some sleazy salesman, Lois nearly lost her mind and needed him to get the money back. So Peter met up with the guys and noticed something. While he was barely holding his money together, they all had financial managers who kept their accounts in order, and as Peter saw it, they all had one thing in common. Even Cleveland tried to knock some sense into him for such a stereotypical conclusion.
Wait a second. Rosenblatt? Greenstein? So you're saying I need a Jewish guy to handle my money?
Peter, not every Jewish person is good with money.
Well, yeah, I guess not the retarded ones, but...
But Peter was way past the point of listening. That night, he even made a special prayer in the form of a song, I Need a Jew.
Where to find a Baumorstein or Stein?
It was catchy, no doubt, but just crazy and wildly offensive. And that's where things escalated outside the show. The Bourne Company, copyright holder of When You Wish Upon a Star, filed a lawsuit against Family Guy claiming the parody infringed on the original song and damaged its value with offensive lyrics. But the case didn't go Bourne's way. A US district judge ruled that Family Guy's parody didn't infringe copyright since the song had been transformed for comical use. And well, you have to admit the song was really funny. But then, it wasn't funny to Christians when Family Guy made a mockery of their faith with its constant portrayal of God and Jesus. For example, in the episode The Courtship of Stewie's Father, there's a cutaway gag where God is depicted as a dirty old man sleeping with a prostitute, all while brushing off a teenage Jesus who just wanted advice about his issues with Joseph.
Hello?
Hey, Dad. It's me. Listen, things here aren't working out anymore, and I was wondering, can I come live with you and Janet for a while?
Oh, wow, kiddo. I'd love that, but I don't know if now is the best time.
The PTC quickly labeled this as another example of TV trying to drag religion through the mud. They argued that whenever religion popped up on television, it was usually as a punchline, and honestly, it's hard to deny that with this scene. But God wasn't the only divine target. His son Jesus got a full episode too, and it was just as sacrilegious. This was the episode The 2,000-Year-Old Virgin. This caused plenty of backlash. The story was basically Peter and the guys trying to throw Jesus a birthday party, and maybe everything would have stayed sane if they hadn't discovered that Jesus is still a virgin. That instantly shifts the party plan. So forget cake and balloons, it's time to help the Son of God lose his virginity. Gosh, that just felt wrong saying it. Forgive me, guys. Forgive me too, God. It gets crazier when Jesus chooses to sleep with Lois Griffin.
But this is my wife you're talking about!
Please, Peter. I just know Lois would make my first experience as special and memorable.
Peter reluctantly agrees, but then he eventually learns that it was all a lie. Jesus had been using this trick to get other people's wives and girls, so he storms over and puts a stop to the whole affair.
Peter, Lois, seems like you folks learned the lesson I intended.
What lesson?
Oh, you know,
Christians didn't like this at all. The Media Research Center, founded by the same guy behind the PTC, Brent Bozell, tore into the episode for making a mockery of the central figures of Christianity. Many viewers felt it crossed the line by turning Jesus into a manipulative womanizer for the sake of shock humor. Now, Family Guy likes to claim it goes after everyone equally and doesn't single out just one group or religion. Everyone gets roasted. But when it aired the episode Turban Cowboy, where Peter converts to Islam, the backlash came hard, and not for the reason you might expect. The episode starts off with Peter and the guys of the Drunken Clam bored out of their minds. To spice things up, Peter suggests skydiving. This soon lands him in the hospital, where he meets Mahmoud, a Muslim man. The two hit it off, and before long, Peter is hanging with Mahmoud's friends and even converts to Islam.
My friend Omar. He can teach you many things about our faith, including how to ululate.
What's that? It's this.
But the twist? Mahmoud and his group are secretly terrorists planning a bombing. But that wasn't the storyline that stirred controversy. That came earlier, during Peter's first skydive. Mid-jump, Peter compares the rush to the last time he ran the Boston Marathon. This is where the cutaway gag of Peter driving his car through runners and mowing them down comes in.
Holy crap, this is awesome! I haven't felt a rush like this since I won that marathon.
I'm Bob Costas, here with Boston Marathon winner.
Nothing out of character for Peter Griffin or Family Guy, except that only weeks later, the real Boston Marathon bombing happened. The timing was so eerily close that it raised serious eyebrows. Fox quickly pulled Turban Cowboy from Hulu, Amazon, and their own site. The outrage exploded when a clip started circulating online that spliced together the marathon gag with another scene from the same episode, showing bombs being remotely detonated, making it look like Family Guy had predicted or even inspired the tragedy. Conspiracy theorist Alex Jones spoke up and contributed to making it go viral, forcing Seth MacFarlane himself to publicly denounce it. But some people even went as far as comparing the resemblance of the character in the Turban Cowboy to the suspect of the real-life bombing. YouTube eventually had to completely erase the uploads of the fake clip from its service. If you thought these moments were wild, wait until you see the next video, where Family Guy bruised some egos so badly, you won't believe the kind of actions people took against the show.